beyond a devil's stream. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Warriors wail the damned ignite. Infernal's wrath, eternal night. Steel bites, the heavens quake. Flesh and bone, the earth will break. Ashes rain, the reapers feast. Darkness spreads, a crimson beast. Thunder cracks, the end draws near. Hope draws in the ocean of fear. Angels whip their wings in flame. Lost to the void, none remain. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Choirs wail the damned night. Infernal's wrath, eternal Echoes fade, the war is done. A blood-red sky, a blackened sun. Souls consumed, no path to light. Hail victorious, endless night.
Sup, fuckers? Hello, hello, hello. Sup, fuckers? How are we doing today, everybody? Hello out there. Never forget. Oh my goodness. There's a delay coming from somewhere. Is it right here? Never forget, everybody. Today is a day of great, great tragedy. They remind me about it every year. They want me to care. I mean, I care about the victims, but how's everybody doing out there? How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope everybody is staying safe. Let me get a little bit of music on. What is going on? Anyway, it feels amazing outside today. It feels absolutely wonderful. I couldn't be happier with the temperature, at least. What's going on today? Well, not only have we lost two great towers that we need to remember today, we have a third tower that has fallen. The great guy Charlie Kirk. At least that's what our president called him. Oh, Charlie. Good grief, am I right? We'll go ahead and I guess get my opinion on the whole Charlie situation out there and known to everybody. Let me pause the music for a little bit of a serious talk, I guess. So Charlie Kirk has been killed. He was gunned down. Ozzy, come on, place. Go to your place. Go to your place. It's nap time. Go lay down. Go. Go to your place. Lay down. Lay down. Good boy. So, Charlie Kirk was killed yesterday. That it was you, Barry? No, it wasn't me. I'm in a different state. I'm not in Utah. Barry, like Barry the serial killer from that one show, Barry, with what's his name in it? Charlie Kirk was gunned down yesterday, and while I never wrong button. Well, I never condone any type of violence whatsoever because I think violence is gross. It's hard to see it as anything other than his actions that have led him there. But hello to you, Master Liberty. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. More news has come out about the assassination. Specifically, we are learning we don't have a suspect yet that I know of. Last we heard, it's still unknown as to who actually caused it. But specifically, I wanted to bring up the fact that unfortunately, Charlie Kirk's children were there, and another added reason as to why violence is never a good answer. I won't say it's never a good answer because I'm aware of how revolutions happen and take place. But the way in which Charlie Kirk was gunned down in front of his children is not a thing that should be happening on a United States of America college campus. I think we're also forgetting a fact that this took place on a college campus. Maybe we're just so desensitized, but the idea that a place of academia was be sensitive and go full unhinged like Blue Sky. See, I understand the annoyance that a lot of people have. When Nancy Pelosi's husband is attacked inside of his home with a person with a hammer. I believe Charlie Kirk specifically said that he was going to dress up with that guy as a costume for Halloween. The insensitivity that is thrown towards liberals, towards Democrats, anytime any tragedy happens, and we're called snowflakes. But then as soon as the target is directed, you're getting reported for terrorism, FYI. That's disappointing to hear. I'm sad to hear. But the idea that Charlie is a person that should be gunned down, I think is gross, especially as mentioned, it happening in front of his children at a live speaking event on a college campus. But the hypocrisy that comes from the right, again, the cry bullies every time things like this happen. Bro, what did I tell you about terrorizing people with your communist thoughts? I know, I'm a bad influence. Me with I have such a wide audience. I have such a big platform. This stream is celebrating and glorifying the terrorist act of yesterday resulting in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Were you not listening when I said announce any kind of violence? Well, since you're just not faithful or nor do I care about you, we're just going to go ahead and say goodbye. You've been banned. Wasted my time. We'll see if the police come after me in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks. But that's, as I was saying yesterday, the big fear that I have in response to this happening is things along the lines of the villainization of the left, the villainization of liberals in general, we already have Trump calling for an eradication of political dissent. We already have calling for the... Yeah, buddy? Is that a fun ball? We already have people calling for war and for, as far as I've seen, genocide. You got Elon Musk saying that the left is the problem, despite the fact that the left has, or rather the shooter hasn't even been caught. But unfortunately, this is what life is turning into now. Anybody can just go into anywhere where somebody is, talking about liberal-leaning, left-leaning policies, and they can say, all right, you're a terrorist now. Good news. You're being reported to the FBI. No, violence of any kind is not my preferred method of change. But it doesn't really matter what we say. All that matters is the feelings of those that are in power, the fifis that control the right. Again, the cry bullies, the hypocrites. There's no moral foundation to conservatism. There's no like care to be consistent or logical because nothing in there is what are the odds this was organized? You know, I was talking yesterday a little bit about like there's reporting coming out now that the shooter, his weapon they found apparently in the forest wrapped up in like some kind of towel or something, and upon finding the weapon they found one spent round in the chamber, as well as they found they found bullets that had words in them, apparently left-leaning words. So as far as like, I'm sure there's going to be a big portion of the world that starts calling this a psyop and starts calling this, you know, a conspiracy theory and it was an inside job. But I mean, when unfortunately the problem is when you have so many guns unregulated and so many guns that are just out there for people to use and consume, like this is the result. Like he's a victim of gun violence. The idea that he's a victim of political violence, I think, is like, or like political violence is just now happening, and it's happening just to the right is funny. When like in Texas, you can be fined $125,000 and imprisoned if you're trans and go into the bathroom that they don't want you to go into. Like I would call that political violence. I would call like the bombing of Tulsa, Oklahoma, political violence, but. Again, none of that really matters to the consistency or the logic behind these Nazis. I need a fishing pole. Do I have a fishing pole? Oily fishing pole. Is it a part of my tool belt? It's got to be a part of my tool belt. I recently started playing Runescape again. I'm still getting used to everything. It's such a annoyingly wide knowledge base. Fly fishing rod. All right, I got it. For fly fishing. Crystallized training. So yes, Charlie Kirk is dead. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. That's what I know to do. Let's see if Trump has said anything else. Last I heard, he was just commenting on 9/11 memorials, memoriams, etc. Good times. The most recent thing is an hour ago, him just sharing something. I believe it was happening at the Pentagon. But you have the likes of Elon Musk on X. His kids are the same age as my niece and nephew. Yeah, like that at the end of the day, like that's where most of my care is. Like I don't know Charlie Kirk. I'm not necessarily sad. It doesn't really affect me by any means. But like the main concern that I have is for like traumatized children. You know, the I wouldn't say main victims, but like the problem that I have is like the people that are going online right now and saying a lot of things that they're saying online right now. One, I think it's silly to be commenting some things in such this certain day and age as far as like calls for violence and whatnot. But like his kids are going to have to grow up. They've already seen it happen. They're going to grow up watching the footage over and over again. They're going to grow up seeing the comments and people talking to them about it. Like they're traumatized, and that's where my main concern is at the moment. I know some people who have met him or in that circle IRL in real life. Yeah, I mean, he's a public figure. He's he's a linchpin as to why Trump was able to get elected. So let's see what FBI in Utah are saying while I figure out fishing.
Hi everyone, my name is Hillary Kellner. I'm the Communications Director for the Utah Department of Public Safety.
Not to mention 100% bullets are legit going to use that in school against them.
Representing our federal agencies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They will be providing some updates as well as a recap of what happened here at Utah Valley University yesterday.
Oh, bullies.
We will be able to take a couple of questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I thought they said bullets, not bullies. Yeah, absolutely. Bullies are totally going to target those kids. Like that again. That's where my main concern lies. Like regardless of Charlie Kirk's political affiliations, of which I think they're disgusting. I think he's a white supremacist and super gross overall. Regardless of his political affiliations, like the fact that his kids are going to be re-victimized over and over again, and also just the fact that like I don't think that anybody should really be killed for voicing their political opinion. Like that's why we had the First Amendment. Like social ostracization is one thing, you know, like we need to take this person and take them out of like functioning society because they are not going to be what's best for the group. They are going to halter the progression of the group. That's one thing. Like we see that with dolphins, but like we also see animals, you know, kill children or kill their young that they don't think are going to make it. And I think we've passed that level. Like, we've gotten past that point. I don't think we should start detracting from that.
But it will be short in order to stay in tune with the president speaking at 9:45. So I'll go ahead and introduce Commissioner Bo Mason.
Bo Mason. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Good morning. I am Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety.
Bo Mason.
I'd
Yum.
be remiss if we didn't start off today and recognize the significance of the day. Historically, on 9/11, law enforcement has come together to recognize and honor those that sacrificed to preserve the ideals of this country, the freedoms of this country. And instead, we find ourselves today hunting a murderer who chose to violate our rights, the rights of an individual within this country. Just to recap yesterday's events, at around 12:20 p.m., political influencer Charlie Kirk was at Utah Valley University participating in a student-sponsored event with Turning Point USA. Charlie was shot at that event.
We kill children all the time, people in general all the time that we don't think are going to make it. Yeah. I mean, like, the conversation that Charlie was having with a person in the audience right before this took place was he was asked by an audience member how if Charlie knew how many school shooters were transgender, to which Charlie said 5. The person in the audience then asked the question, how many school shooters are, you know, I believe he said how many school shooters are cis white male. Or how many school shootings happen not because of trans people, and Charlie asked if we were counting or not counting gang violence, and that was when he was shot. But like the crux of the point is it's still a victim of gun violence. Like until we address the actual gun violence, it's still going to continue. But we don't want to address that issue. We got to make sure that the schools are armed. Waiting for the funniest moment. I can respect it. You know, I don't give it props, but I can respect wanting to commit to the bit. I live my life trying to commit to the bit. What do I need? I need feathers. I know I need feathers. What else do I need for fly fishing? Fishing, crystallize, set up, menaphos. They are waiting for the funniest possible moment. But we also heard the idea yesterday about it being, you know, there's always the idea of it being multiple people, the idea that, or rather they're college age, so they were able to blend into the crowd. And it seems like some of those facts are starting to come out from the FBI, but let's see.
Last night, his body was moved to the state office of the medical examiner. We will continue to facilitate movements to get him home today and with his family. Yesterday, during the investigative process, we located a couple of persons of interest. We interviewed those individuals, and after releasing them and after clearing them of being suspects, they face scrutiny. They face threats. We asked the public to be patient with the investigative process. These individuals were not suspects. They were people of interest. We ask that you do not impose into those people and that investigative process. They don't deserve that harassment for being subject to that. I'd like to thank all the investigators that are involved in this. They have worked around the clock, all day yesterday, through the night last night. Investigators from the State Bureau of Investigations, from county, from city agencies, the university, our federal partners with the FBI, the ATF, and many others. Those are just a few of the people that we have involved in this. I'd like to thank all of them for their strong work. Through all that work last night, we were able to make a few breakthroughs. We were able to track the movements of the shooter. Starting at 11:52 a.m., this subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location.
I did see another video that I don't know if I'll be able to find. I think it's been nuked off the internet, of the shooter running from the building. Was like a racist who can determine the exact GPS coordinates of where your bloodline originated from. They are committed to the bit. You met one of those people. They're insane in both ways. Impressive in both stupidity and knowledge, yet they still miss the obvious by the entire football fields. That's actually a funny paradox. I can't remember the name of it. It's known in HR. Paradox of, what is the word? When your brain, categorization. But there's this idea that your brain, obviously all of our brains want to organize information in the way that's easiest for it to recall, easiest for it to pull up. And in this process, there's generally a paradox in which the more conservative leaning person demands a more precise originalization of a different person to better classify them in their brain. And so that comes from typically, well, one might think that comes from a place of wanting to better understand them and wanting to better empathize with them. Instead, what that ends up doing is placing them into the internal hierarchical structures that they have in their head. And so while typically speaking, conservative people do have more of a care for people's origins and where people come from than more left-leaning and more liberal-leaning people, that usually comes from a place of wanting to abdem or constrict those views or thoughts in some way. A fun little psychology thing, though. But yes, I have met many of those people. I remember there was a person that I was oh, here's that video.
A manhunt is underway this morning for the shooter who killed conservative activist Charlie Kirk. This happened while he was speaking to thousands of students at Utah Valley University.
Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell joins us live from the campus in Utah with the details. Josh?
Tony and Rachel, a very somber scene here at Utah Valley University. 40,000 students attend this school. There will not be classes until Monday as the campus has been turned into a massive crime scene following the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The FBI is here, law enforcement from surrounding areas, and they are focusing on an outdoor area behind this building in the distance. I want to show you the campus sign because we have seen someone leave flowers here overnight. Other people have come by to pay their respects as investigators try and locate the shooter. Now we want to show you some new video that we have. Authorities are combing through this video from this scene. It appears to show a person on the roof immediately following the shooting, according to sources familiar with the ongoing investigation. Now, the Utah Department of Public Safety.
In that video, there was the person that filmed them also was commentating while they were there, saying, "Y'all, there's a person on that roof. I'm just saying." I think was the exact quote that came from them.
Safety said two people were initially taken into custody after the shooting, but later were released. The first was released and later charged with obstruction by university police. The second person was taken into custody and released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Now, Utah authorities have also said that there are no current ties to the shooting with either of those individuals. A single shot was fired on Utah Valley University's Orem campus toward Charlie Kirk, a visiting speaker, shortly after noon on Wednesday. The Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason called the shooting a targeted attack and said the scene is a very large area. Now, just a few hours ago, we met a man from Salt Lake City. He drove here last night. He is a fan supporter of Charlie Kirk. This is why he said he had to be here to see it for himself. Take a listen.
Security companies, and especially the one Charlie contracted, are going to be on edge. It's we talk about things that are just oh so funny here. How long do you last? 48 minutes. We'll take 2. So like with the CEO that was shot by Luigi, allegedly, because Luigi obviously didn't do it. Obviously, he was not involved in any way whatsoever with that, with whatever happened there. I think if I remember correctly, he was actually with me. We were making sandwiches that day and hanging out. So it's all good. No need to, no need to hang on to him anymore. But with after Luigi, there's actually been an uptick in shootings of CEOs and business board members that the news has not been covering, or at least mainstream news has not been covering. My assumption is they are worried about specifically the idea of people getting brave and people getting ideas. Like when we look at we were talking a minute ago about like the about political political violence and like what that looks like, and the right calling this political violence right now while ignoring the political violence that the right has done to everybody else. Now we're seeing political violence being directed towards the right, and so what are they going to be doing in response? They're going to be hiring as much security as they possibly can. But what have we also seen in the past week? We also saw the Code Pink protesters get into a DC dinner and get like within feet of Trump and protesting him, calling for the end of the genocide in Palestine, to which he waved them off and security got them out of there. But like, there's already a huge push to deputize every jughead with a gun out there that feels a little bit brave, or like let's get them in the streets and get them in a position of power and have them fix our problems through force. But yeah, security companies are absolutely going to be all over the place. But the problem is like he already had security there. What did they do? They didn't do jack shit. I saw comments of people saying like he needs to be wearing a bulletproof vest out there. Well, he was shot in the neck. What would that do for him? like the only actual solution, the only actual thing that will help the problem is gun control. But again, can't have that. No way, Jose, can we have that. I feel bad about it, but I'm going to have to buy some soul runes. I wanted to make them, but I don't want to train rune crafting right now, because I don't want to do the questing required. So I'll just get, let's see, soul runes. Oh, God, they're going for so much. We'll just get it 1,000. That should be fine. Oh, my money. Oh, my money. But yeah, security companies are going to be out the wazoo. We'll see if it does anything to help. But again, he had security there. And also your average security worker who's making, $21 an hour or whatever, how inclined are they really going to be to jump in front of a bullet? Luckily, soon to be the only job available will be as a military enforcer of some kind. We won't need jobs for anything else. Nothing else will we need them for. Boop-da-boo.
Coming here, like you're gonna think of a family, raising your family up in a
Do you want to start on the flags at half staff?
Christian area, neighborhood, no violence.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted.
Well, I mean, this is a how does gun control solve the issue of political violence rather than deter the lazy and embolden the determined to be more creative? Like, so like with this case in particular, this was an assassination. Like, if the person wanted to, they had the ability to cause a mass shooting. However, that was not the goal. So I think, you know, like one way or another, if a political assassination wants to take place, they're probably going to find a way to make it happen. I don't think that means that we should make having the tools easier for them. But with safer gun control, or rather having more gun control, and making sure that people don't have as easily have easy access to get these guns. Like, again, we don't know who the shooter is, but if they have any kind of mental problems, and we were doing, you know, the full kind of background checks that I would be calling for, or that I call for, then if they're mentally unstable or ill in any way whatsoever, they wouldn't have access to a gun. Now, through gun laws, through gun shows, through being able to take guns across state lines, you know, the biggest proponent for like guns in Chicago isn't, you know, the black people like most people I talk to would like to have you believe, but rather it's a matter of people are able to bring in guns from surrounding states into Illinois, and that's how so many guns get into Chicago. And so, like, again, the way in which our laws are enacted right now to make sure that as many people have as much access to as many guns as they can possibly buy is a benefit to the capitalists and the capitalists only. Like, more owning of guns at a certain point only leads, like, I understand collecting is a hobby, and if you're collecting something you like, but like, the more guns you have, the more likely you are to shoot, and the more likely you are to shoot is the more likely you are to hit somebody. I'm not saying that everybody that shoots is ever going to shoot somebody, but if you don't ever shoot a gun, you're not likely to shoot somebody with a gun. You know what I mean? Like, I've shot a gun, I want to say 6 times in my life. Weapons in general, explosives to a certain yield are easy to get. I mean, sure, like, we've all watched Burn Notice. You know, I know what happens if I put a silverware in a microwave. Like, we can all do things along these lines. Obviously, we shouldn't, and I would never condone anybody doing things like this. But like, the weapons are going to be a thing that we do. I think the point is that we need to make sure that people don't have the need for these weapons and have the need for these things to occur. So, for instance, when we look at school shootings, for example, the fact that oftentimes it's a failure of mental health services that lead to that person to have, or it's the failure of social services that lead people to the position of causing school shootings, whether that's a lack of mental health, whether that's stigmatization around getting mental health. Like, there's all kinds of like toxic masculinity problems in terms of, like, you know, men not wanting to go to therapy. But also, there's a huge problem of it's the men not going to therapy that are shooting up the schools. Can even get black powder shipped to your door in some instances. Oh, sure. I mean, I remember growing up and, like, when I was like 7 years old, looking around in the classroom thinking, like, I don't know if anyone else ever had this thought, but looking around in the classroom and thinking to myself, like, everything around here is a weapon. The pencil, the scissors, the globe, a clipboard. Like, that's the thing is, people can always get as creative as they want in terms of harming people with violence. Providing better and more equipped tools to be able to do that, I don't think is a good plan. You know, I talked yesterday about, like, the uses of hunting, and like, I have a respect for hunting as a sport. You know, not as a sport. I have a respect for hunting as a, like, means of survival and, like, getting food for yourself. I don't necessarily like hunting for sport because that just feels gross to me. But I understand there's plenty of culture around it, and I don't necessarily think that it should be taken away. But, like, the idea of, like, needing automatic weapons to be able to go hunting. Anybody that actually goes hunting will tell you all that's going to do is scare off any animal that you hope to be able to catch. I will not negotiate on any weapon confiscation for as long as each state militia is permanently under federal control. Yeah, I mean, my point is, you know, a gun versus a knife. It's a lot easier to stop somebody with a knife as opposed to somebody with a gun. Not saying people aren't going to get stabbed. You know, people are crazy and people do terrible things, but having the tools readily available and easily available, I think, is what scares me, generally speaking.
Assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania.
Where is?
And we had an attempted assassination on the presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States.
Back here live.
Band in the
Oro,
1890s, the new
Utah.
production
Now,
of them. Sure. I mean, I'm also just worried about the future in terms of like what we'll be able to accomplish eventually with like 3D printing, in terms of what we'll be able to. They were used for home defense and training. Like what, like the ideas that people get and the resources that people have, like the idea that we aren't getting too far ahead, like the idea that we aren't restricting to a higher level the ability to have ghost guns and 3D print your own tools. Like there's some laws around it, but I would argue not nearly enough. I don't think they were even allowed to carry them. My grandpa's a Tommy gun he used for home defense. I mean, a lot of the guns that I would say like people generally have an issue with, more so comes from a place of either not understanding guns, or comes from a place of the gun simply looking intimidating. Like I like if you are like it's these open carry type guys, like the groups of open carry types that like to test the waters with these things that not necessarily confound me because I know what they're doing, but irk me to some degree. Like the idea that you need to be heavily armed to go to a park where there are children around. Like I understand, like sure, it's your right to carry, but at the same time, like there's kids around. Grand a hunting rifle rather than a weapon of war when it was one of the highest body count. I mean, like that's also sort of the problem. Is like, you know, who was it? Beavers used to be considered fish, so they could be eaten during Lent. Wasn't that right? Was it during Lent? Beavers eaten as fish during Lent. Yeah, because they're semi-aquatic rodents, they were considered fish for Lent purposes, and so we categorize bees as fish in California. Do we? I actually don't know about that. But I mean, like that's sort of you can like categorize things all you want, you know. Like we talk about like the person that came in here and was calling me a terrorist. Maybe you'll disagree with me. I don't think I'm a terrorist, but like, you know, we can categorize people however we want. Oh wait, no, I was searching if bees are fish in California. But in California, some species of bumblebees are legally classified as fish to protect them. Huh. Terrestrial invertebrates such as bees, because the law also protects other non-aquatic invertebrates like land snails. Interesting. I'll take that. I'll take a terror. Oh no, I believe you know shit. You don't have to convince me otherwise. I mean, I'm all for that. Good job, California. I've got my issues with California, but good job, California. We got to protect the bees. We got to agree on that, right? Everybody out there, we all agree we've got to protect the bees. I don't know anybody that says we got to kill as many as possible, but like the without bees we die, and we're close to losing bees. Between pesticides, between microplastics. They've actually found microplastics in bees. This is a very bad thing for multiple reasons. One, we don't know the effects of what this means long term, but also this affects a bee's ability to communicate with one another. This affects bees' abilities to be able to fly, as the microplastics are able to get into the wings of the bees. It's a very big problem. So the more bees that we protect in this day and age, the better. Just because I like the process rather than the outcome, mainly because I see what happens when you stray too far from the process or don't reset when straying is necessary for survival. I mean, I try not to, like, I guess I have more care for the outcome and the purpose rather than the institution. Like, I don't necessarily mind classifying them in this way to gain more protection for bees, because if we didn't do that, there was no alternative protection to do that. Like, this is, again, me speculating and doing very little research on this, but Again, this legal maneuver was a way for the state to offer protection for imperiled bumblebees species facing threats from habitat loss and pesticides. Like, if the laws aren't working for the protection of others, then the laws need to be changed. And so this seems like a good case for that. I am saying I like the outcome and want the outcome, but I want the process to get to that outcome rather than the permanent disregard for the process. That's fair. No, I fully agree with that. You know, like if we're going to make if we're going to change it, then we need to make the change to the institution as well. I'm fully on board with that. Absolutely. Like we need to. Like let's say we're following the scientific method. You don't stray away from the scientific method because you don't like the outcome. You need to stick to the scientific method to get to that outcome. Now, when we're talking about like legal senses, the processes can be changed. It's not stuck in the same way like the scientific method is. And so going through these changes, we can find out what works best. But because it was led to us banning the rule of law. Yeah, from what I've heard, it's overrated anyway. Laws are just laws are simply threats determined by the predominant socioeconomic class, or whatever that Brennan Lee Mulligan quote is.
Authorities believe that they have surveillance video of the shooter, who they say was dressed in all dark clothing. Again, it's believed that a single shot
I need
was
my skill cape.
fired from the roof of one of the buildings here on campus. We do expect an update from authorities within the next few hours. Reporting live in Orem, Utah, Josh Haskell, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Where is my crystallize? Oh, there it is. I need, oh god, chaos, fire, and water. Means that the government has to follow law, and the law itself gets its power not from the government. And the government doesn't have a final say on it. I mean, I prefer, in this case, being the people. Is a concept. Hello? Hello? Hello, welcome in. Welcome in, Mink the Goat. That's to follow law, and that the law itself gets its power from the government. I mean, I'm all for the government following the laws that they have in place.
The Coast Guard blowing up.
That's exciting. What else is going on with Charlie News? We strayed away from Charlie. We've strayed from Charlie. Our day of remembrance, never forget. Messages found on... Hey, first 40 views. I'm in early.
The news is coming in very fast now. Breaking news in the hunt for the assassin in Utah. Brand new evidence now. Bill Malutian. Bill, tell us.
Yeah, Harris, good morning to you. We heard earlier today that the FBI said they recovered that high-powered bolt-action rifle in a wooded area. Well, now several federal sources confirmed to Fox News that messages were found written on both the gun and the ammunition here, and those messages are currently being reviewed by investigators. We can't confirm what were in those messages, only that messages were found scrawled on both the gun and the ammunition that investigators have found, and that is under review right now. That gun will be having what's known as an urgent trace by the ATF. That is when they're going to try to find out where the gun was purchased, when it was purchased, what the possible chain of custody was. Keep in mind the FBI also announcing earlier this morning they found a partial palm print. They also found some footprints, and they do have good surveillance video of the suspect. They just say they're not going to be releasing that video right now. They say those images show that person, whoever it is, jumping off a building and running off into a neighborhood, and that person appears to be college-aged. But again, Harris, multiple federal sources telling Fox News that messages of some kind were found written on both the gun and the ammo, and investigators right now looking at those messages, as here we are about 20 hours after this assassination and still no suspect in custody just yet. But it sounds like investigators are hot on this person's trail. That's all we got right now. Harris will update as soon as we have more. We'll send it back to you.
Bill, thank you so very much. We are at a clip now about every 30 minutes. We're getting something brand new. So we will come back to you as the news warrants right here on Focus. Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here.
Oh, that's wild. Hi, Mink the Goat. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Hope the day's treating you all right. Yeah, we've been talking about Charlie for a little bit. The shooter is still at large. What did that say? How was highlights from Trump speech? So let's go ahead and talk about the speech from Trump last night. Highlights from Trump announcement. Announces Charlie. Where is the video?
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief
Here's
and
the scary
anger at
one.
the heinous assassination.
Gets its power from the people of the states, which means the people are the final say on that law that has been changed to the court, and by proxy the government being the final say on the law, so they don't have to follow it. Well, luckily, you know, the government and the courts are all owned by the rich people that are making all the decisions. So that's cool, right? They have our best interests at heart. All is good. I have conflicting feelings about the Charlie situation. I feel you. That's fair. You know, my stance is I never condone violence or call for violence. I would never say that violence isn't useful because I know how revolutions take place, and but like, as well as like the hypocrisy of Charlie being the one that is the victim here, when 2 years ago, I think it was in 2023, he made the comment of in order to protect our Second Amendment rights, there's going to have to be victims of guns. Considering he says all that, you know, I don't give a shit. I also don't know him, so I don't really care. My main concern are for the fact that his children were there, and the fact that unfortunately they're now going to live a very traumatized life. They were already going to, most likely, based off of who they had as a father, but his children were there, and no child deserves to go through that type of trauma whatsoever, full stop, period. So that's my main concern, is the children that have, again, been permanently victimized through this horrific tragedy. But again, like, it feels very much you reap what you sow. Like, I didn't know him as a person. I'm not sad about it because I don't really care about it, or I don't really care about him. But other than like the fact that he's a conflict and a very powerful right-wing figure that has done a lot to harm a lot of people. Yeah, I guess that's where my that's where my stance is. Political violence is definitely great, totally acceptable, should be more commonplace, should have more destructive, should have been more graphic, give a real Blueski a party, really give Blueski a party. I mean, I think that when you look at political violence, like the way that like the right conflates political violence of destruction of property that is like normal in these circumstances of riots or protests happening, to the conflation of like the murder of people is, oh yeah, no, I know, is gross. Like we saw it with the students in Colombia. They went in and abused and beat students because they eventually barricaded themselves in a room, and their excuse for going into that building was because they broke a window. In the process of going in and taking out all those students, they broke about every single window that was left unbroken. Like, it's okay for the enforcers to do the violence. Bully a furry real quick. Have fun. Good luck with the furry bullying. What do the furries ever do? Poor furries. They just wanna dress up. Not even my love for the Constitution. It's that animal instinct in you. I guess I don't have conflicting thoughts because I agree with your stance entirely, top to bottom. Yeah, like you know, it's a reap what you sow. You know, if you're going to be the voice for, like, the as I was saying to Master in here a couple minutes ago, like, if the conversation before it happened was Charlie was asked by an audience member how many of the mass school shooters in the past 10 years, or how many of the mass shooters in the past 10 years have been trans, to which Charlie answered, too many. And the person in the audience responded with, okay, can you tell me how many of them were not trans? And Charlie responded with, are we counting gang violence or not counting gang violence? And that's when he was hit. That's when he was shot. Like, the if you're going to promote bad things happening, if those bad things happen to you, I don't know what to tell you. You made it happen. I've been fighting against it happening. I didn't want this to happen from the start. I've been trying to get guns off the street every way I can for years now. You've been the one advocating for as many people to have them, as many people to have as many as they can, because, you know, that way they have guns. We got to have guns. It's just again, it's sad for the children. But my main fear now lies into what is going to be the aftermath of this. What does this turn into from here? Is this going to be Trump arresting any kind of political dissidents that he happens to see? Is this where the excuse for finally sending in the National Guard comes in? And while all these things take place, we are also going to have to deal with people from both sides throwing violence at each other in response to this, specifically pointing the fingers, claiming psyops, claiming inside jobs, claiming organized crime, when at the end of the day, the matter is that guns need to be taken away from people. We've proven that we can't be trusted with them to this caliber, so we need to have some stronger laws here. But what does the orange man have to say? I see he's covering his hand at the moment that has the bruise.
Assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now.
Right now.
My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
So it looks like the left is to blame. It looks like the left is going to be, I guess, eaten alive. Us violent left. It's funny, when he was listing the political violence that has been taking place, at no point during that did he mention the two representatives that were killed from that were assassinated a couple, like 2 months ago. It was like 2 months ago, I think, that they were killed. Well, you are pretty violent. Tee hee hee hee. Imagine the left being to blame before the suspect has even been found. That's another part of this. Really, really cool trick they did in that they're able to just simply, again, blame the left. They don't have a suspect. They don't know who did it when they didn't even have the weapon that had been found when they made this announcement yesterday. But good thing that they know it's the left and can blame the left immediately. Let's see, where is that? Let's see what sort of quotes we have. Response to Charlie Kirk assassination. What are the responses that we have from leading people? And what about the kids that were there through the trauma of another school shooting yesterday? Oh yeah, I mean, we always need to have more school shootings. The more trauma, the better. No, it's discussing the poor kids, but they don't have to find somebody off to the face of their movement. There is no situation where it de-escalates. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a situation in which it does de-escalate by any means. I think they're fully out for war at this point. Kirk and the left. Let's see, is NBC going to give me the info? Where was it? So, like, I think it's also funny that every single leading Republican's response to this is, we need to go to war, we need to kill the left, we need to make sure that they're all dead, and nothing else will suffice. And all of the leading from the Democratic Party is, there is no place for political violence. So in response to saying that there is no place for political violence, the right is calling for more political violence. And anybody else notice that? I thought that was a funny little thing that they're doing right now. How do I crystallize in Menaphos? Crystallize in Menaphos training. I guess I just need to have bait. Oh, you can't use it in Menaphos. Well, that's dumb then. Best crystallize fly fishing training. Breaking news: Chinese Premier Ling Ji has signed a state council decree to block the implementation of same-sex marriage legalization bill passed by Hong Kong. Oh fuck. who supported the bill stated they would not hold any protests and understand the government's position. How gross. That's disgusting. I really need people to stop dicking on gay people. I really need them to stop. I just need them to leave them alone. Let them live their lives. I don't think it's too much to ask. Sure. Bro, that is a funny choice of words. Why do so many people hate a certain group so much in the world now? I am so desperate. It's really gross. I mean, it's just a lot of fear mongering, and it's just a lot of it's just a lot of oh, that was not the button I wanted to press. It's a lot of indoctrination. You know, a lot of homophobia typically comes from insecurity, whether that's due to their own sexual desire for men or whether that's due to their inadequacies as a man, or inadequacies as a masculine figure in accordance to like the way that their brains perceive these gender roles. But please repeat them slowly. Gay people getting dicked down. Yeah, I need them to stop getting dicked down by the government, because at the end of the day, it's simply just an out group. You know, the government's just using them to cast aspersions on other people to the best of their ability. They're just able to abuse them however much they want, and it's really, really gross. But yeah, it's a lot of indoctrination. It comes from an early age. I think that is what they were trying to prevent, funny enough. That's the thing is the biggest problem that the left has is their marketing. You know, that was the problem with ACAB, was the right freaked out about the idea that all cops are bastards, not understanding the idea behind the meaning. Maybe if we bring the slogans down to their level, it'll help out. It'll help make a difference. But I mean, it's not by any means new. Gay people have been around for a very long time and have been mistreated for a very long time, as of trans people. But the administration wants to pretend that they're a new invention. Stop caring about both sides. I mean, that's fair. I mean, as I've mentioned before, I think there's a way in which you can have a more, conservative leaning mindset in some aspects without, demanding the rights taken away from people. At the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, what people want is to be left alone and to live their own lives. Every gay person I've ever met wants to, be left alone, live the life that they want to live. They don't want to harm anybody, and anybody that wants to harm somebody, I would just call an asshole. And I would just say that we need to take care of them and get them out of the equation. But the fear mongering that comes from gay people is very beneficial to the right, because it's again so indoctrinated against the populace of the gays and the LGBTQIA+ community. I think people shouldn't have rights. Everyone should be property of the government. That would be sick. That'd be really cool. I like that idea. We could, they could hook us up to machines. They could keep us alive and just feed our body with nutrients. So that was Trump's words on it. Let's see what else Fox News has for us. I think I also saw some stuff from MSNBC. I wanted to look at videos. Oh, person of interest.
From reports, and particularly our own correspondents, things are tightening around the man who they think is the assassin. They are trying to catch him for killing conservative icon Charlie Kirk at a college event in Utah yesterday. It's not still been 24 hours, and the FBI is moving quickly now with some details.
I mean, I don't think I disagree with you. by in regards to gun control, like making sure that mental health is good. Would you agree with me on the training? Like if you're going to own a gun and you don't have like prior military or law enforcement training, then you need to take like a training class on like basic gun safety, trigger discipline, all of those sorts of things. Like I think there's, you know, like reasonable measures that can be made without, you know, like the forceful disarming of the populace.
Details and evidence that they picked up in the last hour or so. And it's revealing this morning that images of the shooter exist, and you can see those images on your screen right now. If anyone has any information on this person of interest, please contact the FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI, and we'll get that up on all of our social platforms immediately. Authorities are saying they have been able to track the suspect's movements and have recovered the high-power rifle. Officials say they believe the shooter used in the attack. The FBI is confident it will be able to catch this person. Sources close to Fox News also confirm investigators are looking into what appears to be messages that are written both on the gun and the shell casings, recovered by authorities just in the last 35 minutes or so. Bill Mallusion has that part of our story. The content of those messages, though, is still unclear. At least they have not revealed them to us in the wider media. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts, Emily Campagno and Kaylee McEnany. Also joining us today, Laura Trump, host of My View with Laura Trump, and Lawrence Jones, co-host of Fox and Friends. First, let's go to CB Cotton and get the very latest at Utah Valley University. CB.
Hi, Harris. Well, multiple sources have told Fox News about the messages that appear to be left behind on both the ammunition and firearm recovered from the scene of Charlie Kirk's assassination. So far, the FBI, as you mentioned, has declined to comment on this, but what the agency is saying is that they've got lots of good video of the killer's path on this campus.
We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time.
Agents say the shooter got on campus less than an hour before assassinating 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, who was visiting Utah Valley University in Orem, which is about an hour away from Salt Lake City. The FBI says the gunman blended in well on campus and appears to be college-aged. Agents say he...
I agree with the concept, but do not trust to giving that discretion and training requirements to the government when I've seen how they can use in New York regarding concealed carry permits, as well as they retain the right to revoke it. So no, not so long as the drawbacks exist and no solution to mitigate them are offered. I mean, what if it's, I mean, I would argue for more community-based things anyway. So, you know, if it's a local ordinance and not necessarily led in the same way as like local like game, what are they called? Game, not rangers, game for with hunting and fishing. But having it be more localized things. So, you know, for a more hunting strong community, having more hunting range options as opposed to like a full blanket. We're not going to allow any type, like communities can make these decisions based for themselves, based off what makes sense for that community, I think is my argument. But we don't work in a system that allows that to happen. So I understand that not seeming like a realistic option. Like, you know, I fully believe that, like, you don't have the same gun, you don't have the same access to guns you shouldn't have the same access to guns in New York as you should have, I would say, in like, you know, like bumfuck middle of Oklahoma, just on a matter of like population basis and population size. And, but like also like the, again, like these communities can make the decision for themselves what works best. But as long as like safety is the main concern and like, again, like, accidents are less prone to happening. That's my main intention. What was I trying to find? So I need to go ahead and get set up where I need to fish. That way I don't stop fishing. Wood cutting level. I think I have everything I need. Let's just go get started, I guess. We'll see if I need anything else on the way. Let's go to Edgeville. Yeah. Man, capitalism's so dumb. We should just be communists and make it all so much easier.
Wore all-black tactical gear as he fired off the fatal shot from about 200 yards away.
It's not what it stops today, but what it might cause tomorrow.
A question from someone in the crowd. After the shooting, the suspect ran off into a neighborhood, according to FBI agents who say they found a high-powered bolt-action rifle in a wooded area. Other clues were also left behind.
Investigators have also collected footwear impression, a palm print, and forearm imprints for analysis.
The FBI is also asking for anyone with photos or videos to
There's
please
plenty
share
of that
those
court
with the
corruption around
agency.
right now.
And moments ago, the FBI also
As they say yes, 6-3 vote to allow racial profiling. I mean, when there's corruption across every blanket of government, the idea of trusting the government with anything gets to be a little bit difficult.
released a new photo saying
Certainly
this
for
could
me.
be a person of interest in this case. I know our show producers are going to work diligently to share that image with our viewers. Harris, back over to you.
Yeah, and we are putting up that image of the person of interest, CV, right now, and we will continue to do that. They are looking for the public's help now. They have obviously tightened their net around this suspect. And the public can be of immediate help just in cutting the timeline. They are going to get this guy. 800 call FBI, and the image that you want to keep, that we'll keep up on the screen as long as possible, is there too. We're also, and I'm kind of saying this to you, but also asking our team wider who's listening to flood our social media with this. All platforms are outnumbered right now as well. Lawrence, well, none of us
Do I have
slept
any
last
tokens?
night,
Oh,
but you
no, I
were
don't.
up on the air earlier than anybody here on the couch. And this day has gone rapidly different than maybe some people had thought, and it's in a very good way. We're getting more information. We might be close to getting the suspected assassin.
Well, earlier this morning, there was a lot of trepidation for me.
They get to set a
particularly,
law without the consent
even though
of
a
people.
lot
I
of people
cannot
I
trust
know
in
and
good
love
faith
and
to enforce
respect
something,
working
let
at the
alone
we hadn't
create
got a
essential freedom
photo
for safety, just as Ben Franklin
because
said.
that's the first step.
Oh, and I think that's the point of
Justice
my
is
desire for
identifying who this
like community-led implementation of these rules, as opposed to an official government that is influenced by, you know, lobbying groups and what have you.
this person is, so they can stand trial before the peers of this country with a jury. And now we have that photo. Our imagination based on the person who they targeted, Charlie Kirk, and since he was given a political speech.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
since
trust
they
that
didn't fire
that
the
institution
crowd-
either.
the crowd, but they fired
Fuck that
directly
institution.
at his head. We knew it was political. Now we got the shell casings and other ammo that have political messages there. So we're getting close.
Oh yeah, the number one thing that I point to whenever I talk to people about the way in which like communism actually functions is I point to like indigenous tribes. I point to that you can find across America, or like more like a early human existence before like Fertile Crescent, hunter gatherer, more types of types of structures. But yeah, like the way in which the capitalist foot has just taken over everything that is government and policy has been going on for a long time. I was doing a good bit of research at one point into like the origins of capitalism, specifically like how the way in which Rome led from its servile class to becoming serfs, and the transition from serfs into more of a township, looking for more skilled labor, specifically in like the more peasant classes. Look at early republic, state handled things a lot. Handled a lot of things, and local municipalities did pretty all right and prevented too much centralized power. Like the I was like pointing to or talk. What is that? Prawn balls. What the hell? How kinky! I didn't know they had that as an item in RuneScape. Prawn balls. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm a cheesemonger, and so I do a lot of research into like Fertile Crescent era times. I do a lot of research into like peasant jobs, the beginning of the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, religion's influence on those as a whole. I'm gonna have to follow this around. That's annoying. Whatever. And generally speaking, the source of suffering when it comes to people generally always seems to be a matter of the class with capital enforcing a structure of that restricts the material conditions of a lower class, enforcing their power until eventually there's an uprising from that lowered level class, and then it all starts over. First had a rule of absurdities that John Marshall would use that would rule out any interpretation of the Constitution or reading that would reach an absurd outcome or ends compared to its purpose. Seems like a decent rule. They don't teach you about that rule in school. They don't tell you that in class, kids. These are the things that are kept from us. Yeah, like the main interpretation I was like throwing into people's faces the idea like, all right, so some of the first words, all men are created equal. Well, thanks to some people's interpretation of that, specifically some men were not seen as men and therefore could be treated as unequal. Like the interpretation of these books caused a lot of harm. By the New Deal era, Lincoln was also tyrannical in his own way, but at the end of the war tried to reset it back to normal. Yeah, from everything I've learned about Lincoln, it seems a lot of it's just he gets gassed up because he ended, quotation marks, ended slavery and ended the Civil War. But like anytime I actually learn anything about Lincoln, it's kind of like, oh, you're kind of a crazy guy, kind of a psychopath. He was 8 feet tall, had wooden teeth. The people and made it colorblind. Right? The people, that's a very interesting phrase you used there. Why is it specifically only the people? First naturalization law in the first few lines. Oh god, this is probably going to make me want to throw up. Where is it? Oh, hell yeah. Of good character. Oh, that makes me sick. Oh, that makes me want to throw up. Oh, that makes me want to throw up. What gross language. Thank God they made it colorblind. Good-natured. Who gets to determine that good-naturedship? Who gets to decide what is good-natured? Is always my first question.
Closer and closer. I just hope that we're all zooming in, all law enforcement. You got to get this guy. Charlie was a representation of a movement of young people in America. And I don't care if you agree with his politics or not. We can't have that in this country.
Part of the excitement too around Charlie, and I was sharing last hour, in the state of Arizona, he was being talked about in circles of people who were decades older than he. Can't wait till he becomes governor. Like, people saw the trajectory of this young man. But part of the conversation was, could he bring the youth vote? Because young people may get activated and motivated, but until they go to the polls, that's the big difference. And he apparently could do that.
Yeah, he did do that. I'll tell you, as the former RNC co-chair, we worked very closely with Turning Point USA. what Charlie was able to do is really miraculous. When you think about the fact that he didn't finish college, he dropped out of college, yet his goal was to mobilize these students
Wrong
to really
screen.
change the tenor on college campuses, and he was able to do that.
Oh yeah, no, obviously.
We saw huge.
Obviously, the free white men was the problematic part. No, I just always think it's interesting the like vague language around those things, like good-natured. Like, who gets to determine what good-natured is? Who gets to decide that? Because obviously, I mean, even to that effect, like the debate about white is certainly a thing that likes to get thrown out there. You know, the fact that Irish and Italians weren't always considered to be white, and so like these are, again, it's determining social classes that can be changed simply due to either, as far as I can tell, inward hatred and wanting to force power onto others. But yeah, obviously the free white men was absolutely wild part of it.
Huge shift in young voters. This election in particular, especially with young men, Charlie played such a huge role in that. I don't think you can ever overstate it. I said this last night on Jesse's show, but I believe that Donald Trump probably wouldn't be president right now without the assistance of Charlie Kirk. What he has done and his legacy, I think, is even too big to comprehend right now. The void and the hole that will be left is enormous, and I'm just hopeful, as someone who cares about, this country and the forward progress of this country, that someone is able
Fuck
to
you
pick
and
up
your
where
racism,
Charlie
George
left off.
Washington.
Turning Point USA is such an important organization. I'm personally very grateful for everything he did, all the work he did, and you can't go to one of those events without palpably taking in how impactful Charlie Kirk was.
Yeah, I want to get your response in part to what Lara's saying, because what she's talking about is more than a movement. It's a complete political shift. If you get a whole new generation of voters who have the kind of bravery to speak out that he embodied.
Yeah, Laura saw it firsthand at the RNC. I saw the data online today. A 44-point shift in Gen Z men over 2 years. How did that happen? Charlie Kirk. That happened because of Charlie Kirk. And when I look at that image on the screen, I know we have to show it. I know how important that is for law enforcement purposes, but I have rage in my soul when I see that individual. And I want to tell that person, and I hope someone does convey this to this person someday, somehow.
Assuming it was them.
Charlie had a light in him, a special light. And you might have thought you extinguished that light, but boy, did you not extinguish that light. You set a raging fire that is here to stay, and it is a fire that is going across the world when you took that young man's life. I just want to share quickly some texts I got, because I've already shared my personal history with Charlie. These are texts I got from people who didn't know Charlie. One mom said, back to school night last night, was shocked and upset. He promoted free speech. He listened respectfully to dissenters. A mom from across the nation sent another text. I would find clips. I'd show them to my 3 sons. They would almost debate Charlie back. I was teaching them to have civil discourse. A father, I did not realize what voice he had with my kids and young people. Jim Jordan called me last night. He said his grandchildren say he is the Rush Limbaugh of their generation. And Chip Roy this morning shared with me a Bible verse his son sent him. And I think this is just sums up Charlie and sums up this moment. First,
Yeah, the gassing him up is gross. What does Joe Rogan have to say?
The Joe Rogan experience.
This just happened. We just found out that Charlie Kirk got shot.
It's fucking awful.
And is he dead?
No, I don't think so. That's what was just
One of the guys out there just said it was
spoken
confirmed that he's dead.
in the lobby was just.
I've been looking. I haven't seen anything that's confirmed.
Murder for having a different opinion from somebody else.
Yeah.
Different ideology from somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Beliefs that didn't
who
align
did
with
it.
it.
Yeah.
I'm
He's
sorry?
dead?
Yep.
Rest in peace.
We're in
Fuck.
Fox News.
Jesus. 27 years old, maybe? 30?
Do they even have a suspect?
I don't know. Well, that's why I don't. I'm literally trying to track it all on Twitter, and it's all.
Fuck. Nobody deserves it. He doesn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that.
So, were you saying that MSNBC had a crazy take on it? What was their take?
I'm literally just reading Twitter, so I didn't see the video. I just saw people talking about tweets of it. I'll pull it up though.
or the president of the convention, he kept order. He didn't decide the debate or the content. He gave legitimacy to the convention. Oh. Well, I'm glad his provision didn't make it in, or his take on the naturalization. If that was the first draft. Where? Stupid game's been glitching.
Fuck.
And even now they could have taken it down.
It was a tweet or a video?
I'm doing the show while I'm trying to figure it out.
Right, no, I understand.
I think they were live on the air and people clipped what they were talking about. It's not a tweet, it's not on their Twitter account or anything.
So it's someone's hot take.
Live in the moment.
Oh, it wasn't?
Yeah, that's a crazy
Oh, I thought you
take.
said it was his provision. My
Crazy
bad.
Take is that, what was the take, that they deserved it?
I misunderstood.
I didn't want to pair
Right.
Here you go. Dave Portnoy reposted this.
You found it? All right, here. Put it.
It's only 10 seconds.
Shooting like this happens.
You can put the headphones on. You can
Yeah,
hear
and
it.
again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about.
That's what the crazy thing was.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, if it was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration.
What? Someone shot their gun off in celebation and killed him.
You shoot celebration guns in the air. Oh God! Just
No, I'm with Charlie Sheen for this.
What a crazy take. Like, it might not have been someone assassinating someone for. It seemed real. It seems so crazy that just it's not registering.
It's not. No.
Charlie said.
Is he a friend?
No, I met him once.
Charlie said, "Oh my gosh, they're coming after us." Oops.
Once.
Okay.
I met him once at a gun range, of all places.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah. He was a nice
first
guy.
laws passed
when
in
I
which
met him.
Washington gave great benefit of the doubt, of which he voiced.
It's a fucked up time.
Gotcha.
People are so divided. in this
Gotcha.
country.
My bad.
They're so divided.
Thank you for the
There's so many people
clarification.
that love it. They love that we're divided, and they profit off that division, and they stoke the fires, and they do it for their own profit, and it's so fucking gross. It's so gross. And to encourage this kind of thing is really one of the most horrific things that you could do after someone dies horribly like this, is celebrate.
It's
It should be a wake up.
Well, I guess that's everything they have for now on Charlie. I'll do one more update search. Was one of, if not the most moral of the founders. I didn't know that he was never one for the political parties. Oh yeah, I did want to see this. There's a. I don't like the Young Turks. Fine, we'll watch the Young Turks.
In the midst of this horrible, tragic day where Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed in Utah while doing an event there, a fight broke out on the floor of the House. We have the video of it. We're going to show you in a second. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is the one who seems to have. But wait, after the mass shootings, let's take a look at the footage.
So, from my understanding, what happened was Lauren Boebert, in response to the House taking a moment of silence to the news of Charlie Kirk being assassinated, Lauren Boebert decided to grab for the 15 minutes of fame and yell out something along the lines of "silent prayers gains silent results," or "empty results," or something to that effect. Calling for, some would say calling for violence. But I don't know what was said in response. From my understanding, others yelled at her to sit down. But let's see if we can find anything out.
Let's wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
All right, so obviously hard to make out what she is saying or others are saying there. But let me explain who said what to the best of our ability. Getting this from CNN's reporting. Representative Lauren Boebert apparently complained that, quote, silent prayers get silent results. Okay,
Hey,
but wait,
I'm so smart.
after the mass shootings, you guys constantly say thoughts and prayers. So here, I've seen people on the left, including in our audience, saying it, but not 1% sarcastic. Like, really, our thoughts go out to Charlie's family. That's tragic. He has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, etc. So what else should we do? So I don't know what she means, and I don't know what she's looking for. Okay, then Representative Anna Paulina Luna said, "You effing caused this." She shouted to the Democrats across the House chamber. And in response, Democrats could be heard, this now I'm quoting CNN, could be heard shouting back about a school shooting in Colorado Wednesday and a call for action on gun violence. Hey guys, I've got more, but I got a suggestion for those in the House. How about yelling at each other?
That was another fun thing that happened was while this was taking place yesterday with Charlie, there was also a school shooting that took place in Colorado at the same time. Because why wouldn't it? Because why would it not in this fun world that we live in? In this fun place that we live in, how, it's like, again, my thoughts and prayers are more with the children, both his children as well as the children of that have been affected by school shootings everywhere. But the ignoring or not yelling at each other across the House floor to try to gain attention in this moment is 1, gross, and 2, a waste of time and a waste of taxpayer money.
Instead of yelling at each other and recriminations back and forth, you guys roll up your sleeves and do something about it. So if you're saying, hey, this is another gun shooting, and we think the answer is action on gun violence, then, and maybe that might have protected Charlie's life or saved Charlie's life, then instead of yelling, do something about it, introduce a bill. If you're a Republican and you're super mad about it and you think what would help, you guys always say mental health. Now I'm talking about the Republican politicians. Okay, if it's mental health, do you want to do a bill that gets more mental health funding today? That could potentially be productive. Or do you just want to yell at each other? Well, there's more yelling. As she walked into the Capitol, according to CNN, Luna also lashed out at Democrats and accused them of, quote, getting people killed. As she spoke to reporters, and she said, quote, stop with the rhetoric. You're getting people killed. You're going to get one of us killed too while you continue doing it. Yes.
This is also the party that was there for the Jan 6 insurrection. Like the yelling at the Democrats, your language is going to get us killed, is laughable when it was the Republicans that was beating down the doors of AOC's office to actively, like, as far as that my memory serves, rape and kill her. Want to hear something crazy? Apparently they called him a tool of the British, in effect, as slander for the Jay Treaty. Back then they were even unhinged. I mean, one thing that I do appreciate about back then was at least they would like get into fist fights on the House floor, beat each other with canes and like strangle each other with their powdered wigs and whatnot, as opposed to like Lauren Boebert just saying, "Your prayers don't mean anything to us," and then another chirper yelling that the Democrats' language is what's going to get them killed. Sounds like a bunch of crybabies. Sounds like a bunch of snowflakes to me. I think they're lame. I don't know what other word to use for it. Bunch of crybabies. They would use the mace of the people, mace of the Republic to restore it. As a fucking mace to restore order. That's incredible. You gotta do what you gotta do. John Adams just pulls up Mjolnir. House has a mace. The House of Representatives mace. Oh wow, that would do some damage, I bet. You swing that at somebody? There's no way they're getting back up. Those wings would go into their temple, like a crowbar. It's beautiful. It's glorious. I like it.
So both sides have to stop with the rhetoric, but I would argue that
I like big bonk sticks, though. I like big bonk sticks. I have this picture up here. This is my favorite character from One Piece. Their name is Yamato. He's a trans character, but he has a weapon in One Piece of it's called a Konobo. But I because I liked it, I made one. Hang on. But I made one of my own. I call it my bonk stick. I use it for all my bonking purposes. Anything needed, anything necessary. Has some fun little screws on the end of it. But I love a good club. Was my point of showing that off. Ugh. I can't carry any more fish. Did I get a... Hey, level 85 fishing! Yay, level 85 fishing. We're making our way down. Making our way through it. Do I have anything else? Speaking of One Piece flag in Nepal.
The Straw Hat Pirates flag from One Piece has become a protest symbol in Indonesia.
तो अभी इंडोनेशिया के बाद नेपाल के अंदर अपने स्ट्रॉ हैट का जॉली रोजर.
That's not in English.
The Straw Hats flag is going viral
Thanks,
in
AI.
Nepal, and the situation is extremely serious. Now it's mind-blowing that the Straw Hats flag has transcended the One Piece anime, becoming a symbol of freedom and liberation against corruption. First in Indonesia, and now in Nepal among Gen Z. Over the last few days, 19 people have perished in Nepal during a major Gen Z-led protest against government corruption, following the decision to ban all forms of social media. The protest quickly escalated after demonstrators broke through police barriers and stormed the parliament, and in response, police used excessive force. Now the anger stems from Nepal's ban on 26 social media platforms, including Facebook,
excessive
Instagram,
force.
YouTube, and even WhatsApp. And while the government justified the ban, most citizens argue that these platforms were being used to voice concerns over blatant corruption. The Straw Hats flag is going viral in Nepal, and the situation is extremely serious. Now it's mind-blowing that the Straw Hats flag...
How incredible. What's going on in Paris? What's going on in Paris with their Block Everything campaign? I can hear them. I can hear the drums. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Qui se propage extrêmement rapidement. Regardez sur ces images, vous voyez toute une compagnie de police qui sont en train de très rapidement prendre un extincteur et tenter d'éteindre cet incendie puisque les pompiers ne sont pas encore arrivés. Les manifestants de leur côté ont reculé.
That's called fire. The French sure do know how to protest. French farmers spray manure on government buildings is always always a favorite video of mine. We need better farmers in the US of A. I'm not usually one to diminish our farmers, but they could really be stepping it up. Like this was last year, I think. Is there a fun edit that we can Edit with music. Will that help? Poop, poop. Look at him go. Incredible work, guys. Block everything protest. This was yesterday. Hey, I've been there. Waldo! It's Waldo! We found him! We found Waldo! Boo! Cops pushing people off the street 4 hours ago. France in flames.
It is time now for business and economics. Charles Pellegrin joins me, and we're getting some context on the protests that we have just been talking about, Charles.
One of the constants in this decentralized movement is that people say they are struggling to make ends meet and that their income isn't going as far as it used to. This all
Anybody know that feeling?
Obviously, when François Bayrou, the former prime minister, presented his austerity budget, which protesters felt called on France's middle and lower classes to make more sacrifices than some of the wealthier parts of society. So let's take a look at wage growth in the country. In the private sector, if all wages are set to the equivalent of a full-time job, then the average salary has actually gone up 13% adjusted for inflation between 1996 and 2023. That's about 0.5% per year on average. Employees saw their wages grow over 10%. That's what you can see the line in red there, while executives saw theirs just grow 0.5%. While this might seem to contradict what people who are out on the streets this Wednesday are feeling, there are a number of important caveats, and one of the big ones is the fact that jobs are becoming increasingly insecure. Short-term contracts, temp work, or apprenticeships now make up for 16% of all salaried jobs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's twice as much as in the 1980s, and it especially affects people
this
under
gig
25.
economy that we've set up now.
Another clear sign is the poverty rate here in France.
The latest data on poverty in the country, which was published in July, actually shows the highest rate since these statistics were collected in 1996. 15.4% of the population of metropolitan France, or 9.8 million people, now live with under 1,288 euros per month. That's what is considered to be the minimum amount to be under the poverty rate for one person living in alone. This is 60% of the median income level in the country. In 2016, that rate was at 13.7%. And inequality is on the rise as well, hitting new records in 2023. The richest 20% have incomes 4.5 times bigger than the poorest 20%. That's at least partly what's fueling the demonstrations we'll see today.
Indeed, that growing divide between the rich and the poor. Well, South Korea, meanwhile, sending a 747 to the United States to bring home hundreds of its nationals arrested during an immigration raid in Georgia last week.
Its president said Seoul would negotiate with Washington to achieve a reasonable resolution to the situation. However, while there are questions over the immigration status of certain workers, others are thought to have had their papers in order. And it's left a bad taste in the mouths of companies that send workers to the United States, often to help set up precisely the kinds of manufacturing industry that Donald Trump wants to reshore there. And he's seemingly making it harder and harder to do so. Luke Schrager reports.
The footage seemed designed to send a message. Hundreds of foreign workers rounded up by armed men in military-style uniforms and led away in handcuffs. And late over the weekend, Donald Trump seemed to double down, calling on foreign firms.
Bro, they're obviously not.
Uniforms and led away in handcuffs. And late over.
They're obviously not Latino. What the fuck? Oh. Oh god, they're killing me. Oh, they're coming after me. It's that guy from when I started streaming today. He reported me and now I'm sneezing. Oh goodness. What else we got? Anti-Islamic U.S. biker gang members run security at deadly Gaza sites.
Our BBC investigation has found that the firm providing armed security to guard sites where aid is distributed in Gaza has used members of a U.S. biker gang with a history of hostility to Islam. The BBC confirmed that members of the Infidels Motorcycle Club work for the private contractor hired by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, often known as the GHF. Well, that is, of course, the aid operation backed by Israel and the United States. The contractor said it didn't screen people for affiliations unrelated to their job performance. The GHF said it had zero tolerance for any hateful biases or conduct. Well, I'm joined in the studio by Andy Verity, who's been working on that investigation. Andy, first of all, just tell us more about this biker gang from the evidence that you gathered.
Yeah, of course, Regina. So they take their name from Infidels Motorcycle Club, English translation of an Arabic word that I think probably isn't used that much by Muslims. The word is kafir, to refer to an unbeliever or a non-Muslim or infidel. So that's where the name comes from. It was set up by US military veterans of the Iraq War back in 2006, and it's grown rapidly since then, hundreds of members. And what's really striking is the iconography of the group. So they have a skull logo, for example, on their website until recently, of the violent Marvel comic book character, Punisher.
Of course they did.
And that's a symbol which has been appropriated by white supremacist groups. And it's inscribed with the word kafir in Arabic script. Now, some wear tattoos, Crusader cross tattoos, hats celebrating the year 1095, which, if you know your history, was the year that Pope Urban II launched the First Crusade, calling all Muslims, quotes, vile race.
Yeah, another
and
dog whistle.
Europeans to recapture the Holy Land. So it's a sensitive subject that they're playing on. Gang members see themselves as modern crusaders. Many have these crosses on the backs of their biker jackets, or they're tattooed on their forearms or their shoulders. And we've discovered that they're currently hosting anti-Muslim hate speech on their Facebook site, and also have previously held a pig roast in defiance of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan.
And how did these bikers get involved in running security for the GHF thousands of miles away?
Well, they're all ex-veterans, and the Infidels is mostly ex-veterans, and the attraction was the money. According to our sources and contract documents we've seen, they're paying each of them about $980 a day. That's about £720 every day, including expenses, rising to about $1,500 for team leaders. So if they're there all year, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And we've got images
A
of some of the
day? Good thing we can't pay
people
for
in this
teachers.
gang. I mean, you identified the names of some of them.
God
How
damn.
did you then establish that they were working for this agency?
Well, this is interesting because at first we were up against a wall. There was just one member of the gang who we knew about. That was Johnny Taz Mulford. He's a former sergeant in the US Army, and he posted a picture of himself on the gang's page, posing with a machine gun. And then there was another picture with 1095 tattooed across his chest. Now, we emailed Infidels MC for comment, and what happened was, in response, Mr. Mulford instructed his fellow gang members not to reply to the BBC, but forgot to take us off when he hit reply all, thereby disclosing email addresses and names of other members. So we got that. We also spoke to Infidels insiders, and we were able to match up names with public information about Infidels leadership to arrive at 10 bikers who are from Infidels, who are leading the teams in Gaza, where people have died, and there have been
people have been killed, people have been murdered,
accusations.
Not just died,
UGS,
actively killed.
According to estimates.
Is there anything going on today? Anything? How's everyone doing out there? Chat, you doing all right? You staying safe out there? Let's see what Tim Pool is saying right about now. Oh. Looks like nothing yet. What's another one of these losers? Andrew Tate on Charlie Kirk. Because I heard he had some words to say.
Andrew Tate has reacted to Charlie Kirk being shot. The news of Charlie Kirk being shot during an event at Utah Valley University sent shockwaves across the internet, and one of the most notable and unexpected reactions came from Andrew Tate. Tate, known for his bold and often polarizing takes, took a surprisingly serious and emotional tone in response. He tweeted, "Charlie has done enough good. He deserves a miracle." Coming from someone who's usually blunt and unfiltered, that statement felt personal. Whether you agree with Tate or not, there's no denying the respect in that message, a clear sign that he sees Charlie Kirk as someone who's made a meaningful impact.
He didn't just say, my thoughts and prayers with them. He also said they're coming for the rest of us. Weird framing. It's almost like you gave us half the story.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United States Department of War,
I thought that was live right now. Oh me, oh my. Charlie Kirk died.
Charlie Kirk, of course, for all of us who know him, who knew him, remembered for so many things today. And one of them is his staunch support of him, but it cannot silence his.
Stood proudly for the Judeo-Christian values that bind Israel and America. How gross. Yay, you're missed by a war criminal. Yay, you're missed by the modern-day Hitler. Great.
Honor him by carrying forward his lessons, fighting for education, and refusing to give up on the mission he built. High school senior Gregory Lykoff joins us now. Gregory, I wish we were speaking under different circumstances. What made Charlie so special?
Yeah, well, if you look at it, he's the only one who truly cared about students my age and really valued us, whether we can vote or not. He went to those college campuses, he went to those high schools, established Turning Point USA clubs, and he actually got students to finally become engaged. You know, a generation that was once known as...
I like that they had so much proclamation around being the party of masculinity, and they bring out this little twink. You did the mistake. This is left killing us. Hitler was defeated by the people who believed in America and were Christians. Zadro Kott, I'm sad to say that you are so confused on what is right and wrong. You know, I don't condone violence, but saying that the left is the party that is causing the problems is unfortunately laughable. I'll give you another chance. I'll give you another chance to redeem yourself, though. It's the left killing us? Okay. So a political figure was killed. How is that any different than the 2 representatives that were killed by a person pretending to be a police officer 2 months ago in, I think it was Wisconsin, or was it Michigan? Or was it Minnesota? One of those northern states. Charlie Kirk was a victim of gun violence. If you want to look at what the who's been keeping gun violence readily available for the consumption of the masses, then you should look at the Republican Party, not towards the left. Does that make sense, Zadro Kott? Does that make sense in there?
As the liberal progressive generation turned into the generation that is now a conservative, or hopefully will become a conservative stronghold, and it was all because of Charlie Kirk and his influence on millions of students, including me.
When this horrific tragedy occurred, you wrote me yesterday saying you wanted to come on here and talk about what Charlie Kirk meant to you. So describe for the audience the influence he has had on your life.
Yeah, so let me just tell you a quick story, just personal story of mine. So for 16 years, I had undiagnosed ADHD, and what that meant for me was that as I was a failing student, I couldn't read, I couldn't write.
What a snowflake.
And only last year did I finally get diagnosed, and my entire life changed. I found my interest with politics, and that's when I started listening to people like Charlie Kirk. His show in particular showed me that debate matters, that things that you know, we don't see in our regular political world actually matter. And that's what he shows. Whether you disagree with Charlie Kirk, whether you agree with Charlie Kirk, he would debate you. And even if he wins, whether he doesn't win the debate, that's not the point. The point is to have a civilized conversation, and that's what we're missing here. And that's what he taught me is...
See, like, the deflection of, like, what he was talking about is alarming. You know, like, just we need to make space for these ideas, no matter how harmful these ideas may be, and we need to make sure that these ideas are protected, no matter how many people those ideas might harm. Like the, you know, who cares about the fact that we'll get to kill, or that we'll kill every trans person in this country, so long as we get to kill every trans person in this country. Like the performative virtue signaling of the right is really laughable. Oh, wow, how exciting, how surprising. Zadro Kott didn't have a response to me. He just came in, said some noise, and left. Wow, what a response. Again, there's no actual, like, moral standing or grounding towards any of their thoughts or claims. It's all just a performance. It's all just a big show, just like Lauren Boebert screaming that the silent prayers make silent results.
Joining me now is the author of groundbreaking works, international bestsellers, his latest on democracies and death cults. Douglas Murray, let's start with the murder of Charlie Kirk, one of the brightest and bravest voices of his generation, a genuinely decent man, a father of two, shot dead at the age of 31.
All right, I don't know
And the
about
type of
genuinely
event
decent
that
man. We're gonna get off of that framing. Offer a 100K reward for person of interest in Charlie Kirk's shooting death. Now, I notice throughout this conversation about the way political violence is taking place, I don't see any mention of the way Greta Thunberg's flotilla is currently being bombed by Israel. No word on that from the Trump administration. No care in the world whatsoever. But political violence, when it's directed towards Republicans and conservatives, that's when we need to freak out. That's when we need to care. Political violence, if it's directed towards a trans person, that just makes sense. That's God wouldn't have it any other way, right? Just the way God ordered. What else you got, Fox? Anything else you got, Fox? Spotted on roof moments before. We already knew that.
With this Fox News alert, we have new information on the manhunt for an assassin on the run
stop it.
in Utah. And you see on the left of your screen, Christian, young conservative leader, husband, dad, friend, Charlie Kirk, assassinated. And now the new details are firming up to catch that killer and bring him to justice. We're getting a clearer picture of just how someone could escape that crowded scene on that college campus and simply vanish. Well, almost. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus.
Ooh, what is this?
Well, right now, historically black colleges and
What is
universities
this?
across the country are currently under lockdown after a slew of threats that were called in today. Moments ago, Spelman College announcing a shelter in place over the threats, including
The virtue signaling on the left is crazy, and the amount of how much violence and how much damage is huge. Flotilla was false. It was just a firecracker. No drones were seen at the harbor. Okay, sure. Whatever you say. If you want to promote Hasbro, go right ahead. But aside from that, the virtue signaling on the left, I don't know what you're talking about. The left is calling for gun control as usual whenever gun violence takes place. The right is the one that's calling for open war between and killing of the left.
at Clark Atlanta University, which is near their campus.
Other HBCUs receiving threats today: Hampton University, Virginia State University, Alabama University, Bethune-Cookman University, and Southern University. The schools urging students to remain vigilant, saying these lockdowns will be in place until further notice. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo is following the latest for us. It seems, Stephen, like we're getting even more campuses that are closing down just upon hearing what the other campuses are choosing to do.
That's true, and to be honest, it's been hard to keep up because we just keep.
I mean, this is what
from
domestic terrorism looks like. I want more virtue signaling. Give me the cheesiest virtue signaling. Entertain us, cheese man. Let's see. Charlie Kirk smells like cheese. You can trust me on that. I'm a professional cheesemonger. No, this is what domestic terrorism looks like. You create situations in which people don't feel safe to go out and interact with the public, and now you have historically black colleges that are closing down, and more so than that, others, upon seeing one close down, is following suit and closing down themselves. Like, this is impacting education of students. This is impacting the education that these students paid for. You know, you think that they would be a priority considering they paid for it, but and yet now schools are having to shut down due to threats. Like, I remember when I was in high school, we got a school threat about a bombing about once, I think at one point about once a week. Right now, complete and utter virtual signaling. How horrible of you! Oh, I've got a Batman signal machine for virtues just like this one. Big old Batman machine.
new campuses that are shutting down because of concern or because they've received direct threats from this. You mentioned we had Southern University as well. That's in Baton Rouge. Bethune-Cookman, which is in Daytona Beach. And interesting, Spelman University has that shelter-in-place order, but it's actually not received any specific threats, they said.
Antifa are domestic terrorists, and the left are now what they were fighting against. Leftism has transformed into a nationalist threat. I think you're silly. I think you're silly. I think you are, unfortunately, a victim who has fallen to quite a bit of propaganda, and I really hope that you're able to look inward and reflect on that fact. Of course, you'll probably say the same thing to me, but, well, maybe you won't say the same thing to me. You'll probably think I'm crazy, but the idea that Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization is laughable. In what way is Antifa organized? In what way are they able to perform terrorist actions? As an organization, not individual members, mind you. Somebody being Antifa aligned does not mean that Antifa is an organization that exists. I believe in the Constitution and the Bible. We all fall victim to propaganda. Happens to me just about every day. I think the important thing is being able to look at that and being able to figure out whether or not it was propaganda. If you aren't willing to reflect on the thoughts that you have as a person, then you're not going to be able to come to that realization.
But the close proximity to Clark Atlanta University has made them, out of an abundance of caution, decide to issue a shelter in place just because of how close they are. They have said they are also increasing security just in case. We have statements from the other universities you mentioned as well. Virginia State University, Alabama University, Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia. All of these statements so far seem pretty similar. They're saying they have received a threat directly to campus, and they are either asking people to stay off campus or issuing a lot.
Using cells mainly in Facebook groups and other social media platforms. They were like the only people still using Threads for a bit. Right. I mean, they actually Antifa likes to meet up every Thursday. There's 6 of them. They meet up at Panera Bread in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a group of 6 guys, and they talk about how they're going to, I don't know, burn down a public mailbox disposal as a sign of resistance. Like the idea that Antifa is an organized resistance structure is laughable. Serious, the official leadership doesn't partake, but they use the same name. Antifa is a terrorist organization. Cool. I don't really care about something being designated a terrorist organization. Anything can get the designation of terrorist organization. I care more about terrorist acts. So please, again, as an organization, please show me what terroristic acts Antifa has done. The official leadership doesn't partake, but they use the same name. I mean, sure, but again, this is using the same name is different from being a part of the actual system and structure. To simply be anti-fascist has nothing to do with the actions of one person that says they are anti-fascist. You know, I am Republican, and I am saying that guns should be taken down. Does that make that the case? Does that make it the movement of the Republican Party? Looking more and more like a hired gun. Everything I've heard is that it's like the fact that it was able to be such a shot from 200 yards away is already wild. When there's, like, I was talking to somebody yesterday about it being 200 yards away with 7-mile-per-hour winds. Like, that's a big amount of wind. You aren't allowed to be Republican. I won't allow it. You are not Republican. I am Republican. What makes, again, designations? How can you prove that I'm not a Republican? You know, I believe in traditional practices. I love traditional practices.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America?
Yeah, we were talking about this
over
earlier.
The last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Greg, do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence?
And we're gonna stop that right there because I know what happens next. Yeah, the conversation being that during this conversation is a little funny. because I have the definition of a Republican form of government from the Federalist Papers. Can we? Okay, thanks. Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't going to play it. No way I'm doing that on here. But no, the idea of like Republican, you have a working definition of Republican. However, that working definition of Republican is going to be very different from, let's say, Genghis Khan 233's terrorist of, or rather, interpretation of Republican. Like, the way that my uncle sees Republicanism is very different from the way that my grandmother sees Republicanism, and so like addressing various labels as an aspersion for insult just seems lazy. Like Genghis Khan wants to come in here and say Antifa as a whole is a terrorist organization, and yet when asked about specific terrorist acts that the organization as a whole has put together, we get crickets. We get no response whatsoever. Master Liberty, I think you weren't in here at the time, but I had somebody else that came in here while you were gone, and the first thing that they were asking was, or the first thing that they were saying was that I was a terrorist again because of the things that I was saying. To which I asked them to prove it, and again they just left. They walked out because there is no proof. There is no care in the words that they say and the things that they preach. It's just a performance. It's a matter of how can we make sure that we're winning this argument and owning the left at every possible moment. It's team sports. Republican form of government is ratified as the only one, meaning be ratified as legal text for it to be enforceable as seen during Reconstruction. Again, though, we're using different working terms of Republican. Like, I'm not necessarily using Republican in that way. I'm using Republican much more colloquially as a way to speak about like the MAGA cult as a whole. But like that's my point, though, is like you are using that as a definition, and that's totally fine. That's totally respectable. That's totally reasonable. But the people that you talk to aren't necessarily going to use that same designation. Like when I talk to people like what was his name? Not Genghis Khan. No, it was Zadrokot or whoever. When I was talking to somebody about the way in which actual Republican and not Republican. How dare you slander me, you evil communist. I'm fine with being an evil communist. But like when we look at the fact that like through this conversation, I have been called a terrorist several times, and I've also been told that I am not a terrorist several times by various people. Who's right? We all have different working interpretations of terrorists. And so if the interpretation of the right for terrorists is simply going to be anybody who disagrees with me, I don't really care about their opinion of what a terrorist is. Like, it's the boy who cried wolf. If you're going, it's their same argument for you are right, always right. I mean, that's true. But it's the same conversation for whenever Republicans want to cry about liberals hurting their feelings. It's just them complaining about something that they do on the regular. As I warn everybody, I'm often wrong. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Republicans are walking like fascists, talking like fascists, so they are ones. Yeah, I mean, again, like the more colloquial use of Republican specifically in reference to like any MAGA head, or like if you're voting for these practices, then at the end of the day, I have to believe that you're in support of these practices. Like the idea of being fiscally conservative when the entire Republican Party is built on disenfranchising trans people, then, you know, I am going to speak about Republicans the way that the Republicans are presenting themselves, not the way that, you know, was originally ratified by the Constitution. Oh, it's the Nazi trope, or the Nazi bar. If you have a bar and you have one Nazi in it, then you actually have a Nazi bar. If you're going to allow that kind of behavior, then that's what you're going to allow. But again, I think the important thing is being able to make the differentiations between who is having a argument from good faith and who is simply trying to push the message forward. I remember when I was the left and Antifa are the real Nazis. Genghis Khan, you're back. I'm so glad you're here. Genghis Khan, you're still here. I've been waiting for your answer about the actions that that Antifa as an organization has made that was terrorist. Tons of proof out there. Perfect. Give me one. Give me one. Just one credible source. Because I can give you very specific examples of the way that trans people are being attacked at a systematic level. That is not Fox Entertainment or Newsmax. I don't take those sources. Again, Genghis Khan, you get one shot. You get one shot. This is your moment. Don't let it go to waste. An Antifa leader killed Jewish people in history. Okay, so what was that? What was that name? Let's look into. Look into Nestor Mackinac. Nestor Mackinac. Born November 7th, 1888. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, Genghis Khan 223. You're not here for this conversation. Get the fuck out of here. Bye. You had one chance and you soiled it. Go get fucked, you cocksucker. I banned him. That was my exit for me banning him. Let me pull out this one individual from 1988 who has no correlation to what we're talking about right now. Go get fucked, you Nazi. Like this is what I mean when we talk about like the difference between somebody who's actually like, like I can understand the reasons and the way in which people become conservative and have core conservative leanings. I grew up in the South and I've seen it with plenty of people over my year, but there's a difference between those who actually want to have the conversation and like can still like be respectful of people, and those who are simply in here that are trying to promote their Hasbara or their propaganda. If you vote for Trump, you are one. I remember having a conversation with my sister right after the election, in which we were talking about the response to the election. So specifically, we were talking about the ways in which like what we were going to be seeing over the next couple of months. So we were talking, and they brought up the comment of, I think that if you voted for Trump, you're dead to me. And I think that if you voted for Trump, then you need to be removed from the systems of power, adjacent, something simpler as that. Now, what I think is important, and what I tried to convey to her at the time, and this is right after Kamala was lost the election, what I tried to convey to her was that over the next several months, we're going to be seeing a lot of people that have truly been victims, that fell for the cult, fell for the mind games, and are purposefully, hiding their, or rather, coming to terms with the fact that they have been fooled, that they have been scammed. And we're seeing this already with the federal workers that have been misplaced and have lost their jobs, that have said things along the lines of like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen to me. I thought this was just going to happen to the unproductive people, not realizing who it was going to affect. Like, there's going to be so many victims that come out of this. And I think as the party of inclusivity, we need to understand there needs to be some level of tolerance and acceptance for bringing some of these people back into the fold. Like I said, there's some kind of line, at least in my head, between, the idiot who's been indoctrinated into this and fallen for the scam versus Stephen Miller, who's actively trying to make Nazism as open and prevalent as possible. Collectively, we're saying, hey, XYZ will happen if he wins for 2 years straight. Oh, I understand. I've been having this conversation with people since 2016. That was when I got involved with politics. I've been telling them exactly what will happen. You know, I remember when Roe v. Wade came about and having the conversation with people, okay, well, this is going to affect you in the way that now your daughter isn't going to be able to have an abortion. And 9 months or 6 months later, their daughter was pregnant. I jumped to 9 months. 6 months later, their daughter was pregnant and they couldn't get an abortion. Like, the idea that they are idiots does not mean that they are not also victims, if that makes sense. We all said the economy would crash. Oh, look, yeah. I mean, now it's the fun game of we get to, and this is just a matter of being on the left as far as I've seen. And my total experience of being on the left is when you tell them what's going to happen, they get upset with you for pointing out what's going to happen. And then once it finally starts happening, then they're upset that it's happening. But they also don't want you to actually like tell them the solutions to fix the problems. Yeah, the next 3.5 years are a whole told you so. But I would say the past, like, at least for me, the past 8 years of my life have been a whole I told you so moment. I remember having conversations with people well before Kamala lost the election, specifically saying, it's cool that the party's so excited. I just exist. We all just want to exist is the thing. I think what keeps me from just existing is I look at my friends that are around me that are trans, and I think about the fact that they can't just exist. And so if I were to just exist, I would feel that would be unfair to them. Bankrupted farmers in 2018, they don't care. That was actually Biden's fault. From before Biden was president, he was Obama's vice president, and he fucked that up then. So come on, Jessica, get with it. Didn't you know that was Biden's fault because of Obama? Duh. No, like the undercutting, the personal enrichment is really gross to see, but it's been consistent across his entire campaign. When he first started running in 2016, I was convinced it was over as soon as he said that John McCain was a coward for being a prisoner of war. He said that on a radio show. I was driving to work and I heard that on the radio and I said, oh, good thing this Donald Trump thing is over now. I mean, honestly, especially if it's a matter of, at a certain point, it'll be a matter of safety for all of us. But at a certain point, we're going to be able to gain refugee status places. Hope you got a skill. How wrong you were. I'm often wrong. But no, I mean, in 2016, I was warning people about the same things. You know, this rhetoric is adjacent to Nazis, and you know, I was met with people saying, "Oh, well, he's just kidding." And now, 8 years later, when Trump says Nazi shit, his defenders still say, "Oh, he's just kidding." Like the thing that's happening right now is the same thing that's been happening for the past, I would, at least as far as I've seen with my own eyes, at least 10 years. Unfortunately, now it's much wider, much bigger, and we all have much larger access to social media. We all have, I think we all do a better job of diagnosing our echo chambers, like finding where we can talk to people about these things, where it is safe to, whether that's across Discord, friend groups. I think overall we do a lot better at finding those echo chambers and finding exclusionary methods of talking that way, which is why I like being on here. So that way I can hopefully talk to some Trump voters and show them the error of their ways and bring them over to the liberal left-leaning side. Because otherwise, I don't see a way of getting out of this without violence. Like, violence is already happening to both sides, mainly to the side of the left, to be quite honest. And not even to draw it up in terms of side of the left, to the poor people is the main drawaway, but. It would be really funny if he just kidding and it's all stops and he leaves office, just fucks off. The fuck just happened. I have a running theory that on his deathbed, Trump is just going to be saying, "You want the Epstein files?" Hang on, let me do this right. Yeah, we'll do this. You want the Epstein files? You can have them. I left them all in one place. At the end of the Grand Line. You just have to make the journey, get to the end of the Grand Line. That's the funniest timeline for me. You want the Epstein files? You can have them. If I see someone has voted for Trump, I stay away from them. That's fair. That's reasonable. I'm sure everyone's had their own difficulties dealing with family through all this. I have my own Trump family members, and I've basically gone no contact with them, just for ease of self. But his speech, yeah. I mean, like his speech was always going to be shitty, or his was always going to be edited in some way at this point, like the way in which he's doing health-wise. I don't think he would have been able to look in the camera for real and be that articulate and eloquent. But I mean, my main fear is, again, the words within the generated video. But yeah, it did look quite fake. It did look quite funny. Hi, Oswald. Didn't it look funny, buddy? Yeah, there's a lot of Trump voters out there. I recently moved back down south. I was in good old Chicago, and being back down south is quite a change of pace. There's certainly a lot more racists around. I forgot how many there truly were. Victor, hello. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there. Welcome in. We've been talking about all the hoopla. There's so much hoopla. Bolsonaro has been convicted. Oh, has he now? Has he now? Brazil. Bolsonaro guilty of coup charges. Oh, wow. Big news. Big news. Big news, Ozzy. Happy September 11th, everybody. Former Brazilian president convicted after losing the 2022 election. Teehee. What? You mean to tell me the far right is crazy and bad in places other than America? It's almost like the right's the problem. It's almost like it's the brain cult that's causing the problems, that's defending the capitalists allowing all these things to happen. No, I haven't seen the memorial video yet. I pulled it up and saw that it was an hour and a half and clicked away from it, expecting to watch it later. I saw somebody commenting that it looked like he did have a stroke, though. Did it actually look that bad? Memorials. Wait, 9/11 speech, Trump stroke. Oh. Oh, that does look like a stroke. That does look like a stroke. Oh, thank you. That's crazy. I remember I used to work at a bowling alley, and one day I had my mechanic, John. He came back to work, and his entire face looked exactly like that. The entire slunk down, like it was slipping. Remember talking to him. I said, "John, are you okay?" And John said, "Right as rain." And I said, "Are you sure? Do you need to go to the doctor?" And he said, "What for?" And I said, because of your face." Oop, wrong count. Oop, wrong count. Oop, wrong channel.
Utah Valley University. They posted a link for digital media
Oop, wrong
tips.
video.
While this investigation was happening, Donald Trump was at...
Hang on. Not me being tech illiterate. I appreciate the clip.
Utah Valley University.
Oh, wait, is this it?
Commemoration
Okay, yeah.
event. I was making a separate video about
God,
this.
yeah, that
because
looks rough.
He does not look to be in the best of shape during this event. I want to play this clip.
It's Weekend at Bernie's. It's Weekend at Bernie's. Like, what the hell? That's exactly how my bowling alley mechanic came in looking too. That's exactly what it looked like. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like the week and a half or the 10 days or whatever that he was missing, the week that he was gone for, followed up by now like stroke signs. Like, feels like they're really.
Leonard E. Taylor. Sandra C. Taylor. Sandra D. Teague.
Donald Trump's face.
Keep in mind, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it was. This is what he's looking like the next morning. Absolutely it was. That's crazy. Now, what would I want to ask the all-important question. What would the reaction from Fox News be if Joe Biden came out looking like this? If Joe Biden came out on stage with a face droop like this, they would what? Call for burning down the country, I assume? They despite the fact that he had the popular mandate of the people, and despite the fact that he had the will of democracy on his side to do whatever the fuck he wanted, regardless of what anybody else said, because that's the way the presidency works, apparently, if you win the popular vote. Nobody ever knew this before Trump was in office, but what the fuck is this?
Face drooping to the side while he's half asleep at this 9/11 commemoration event. I've heard theories that Donald Trump is especially shaken because he saw Charlie Kirk.
He's got to have
die
had a
in the video
stroke,
and
right?
realized he was close to that being him when he was shot at a year ago. Right here, we see a photo of what looks to be the shooter laying on the roof in.
I'm not saying it's funny, but the wildest joke I've heard so far was it turns out in the end Charlie Kirk was leaning left.
Position before the shooting. Somebody took this video right here.
He'd already be in place. You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there?
What did
increasing rapidly in this era, and it's due to the accessibility in America. The unique amount of accessibility causes FBI field offices.
All right, I'm gonna stop stealing content now. Sorry, Adam. Don't copyright strike me, please. So we have a president who has a shadow leader behind him of Stephen Miller and Peter Thiel, they're generating AI video for to be able to protect the image during an assassination attempt. During an assassination. While meanwhile there has been an assassination, and now the most powerful people across all boards of the Republican Party are calling for all-out war on the left because of something that the left didn't do. What are we doing? During his first term, a doctor that worked with him said he may have been having microstrokes as early as 17. Oh, goddamn. I remember hearing about that. Or at least I remember reading it on Twitter. So it's got to be true. And yes, in case anybody is new in this community, we do still dead name Twitter. That is the only dead name that we find acceptable. That or Drumped. Man, that's crazy. What's Fox News got going? Let's take a look. Let's take another look with at the Trump video. Where's the? I just searched it a little bit ago. Trump speaks. That's not how you spell speaks. On Charlie Kirk. Nobody saw me misspelled speaks there. If you thought you saw me do it, you didn't.
To my great fellow Americans.
It does look fake. It does look fake. I mean, the downfall was always going to be the cognitive decline, and like the problem is that the Republican Party is tied around his finger. And so, like, the thing that I was worried about last week was what comes after the passing of Trump, whether that be because of the stroke scene that he's having or whatnot. But, like, what happens next is my scary idea. With the idea of J.D. Vance being the one that takes power, J.D. Vance, one, doesn't have the charisma to actually, like, latch on to the Republican Party. Or rather, he doesn't have the charisma to actually hold the Republican Party the same way that Trump did. He's a shitty little snowflake boy, JD Vance is competent. That's the scary part. Exactly. The idea that you have somebody who's more competent, less of a clown, that's able to run things, but also at the end of the day, Trump still cares about Trump. The end of the day, it's not about the Republican movement for Trump. It's about Trump for Trump. Whereas for JD Vance, he doesn't have that same sort of charisma. He's an industry guy. So while Trump at least wants to some level protect the brand that he has, JD Vance is fully suited to be a fleshlight for Peter Thiel and Stephen Miller to do whatever the fuck they want. I think this is why we've seen JD Vance being the whenever they do military events, why we see JD Vance there, and we see obviously they're high positions, but the collection of the Rowdy Boys of Hegseth, Pete, and Stephen Miller in front of the National Guard. I think that was a very purposeful decision to have the three of them there as sort of the strong arms of the administration, associate them with the military as much as possible, to prepare for the day in which we need a much more strong arm ruler, a much more strong arm method of enforcement. And so what happens after Trump goes away and we no longer have that God figure for the Republican Party to latch on to? Well, considering every Republican is a personal, money-hungry capitalist pig, most likely what's going to happen is every single Republican that has any kind of power is going to do a mad grab for whatever kind of power they can get during that power vacuum. And ideally, that leads to the downfall of it all, as bounds are crossed, as people realize that they aren't out for them, as the disillusionment of the Republican Party falls with the no longer having Trump as its dear God King to suck off every night. I don't know what comes after Trump, but the fact that all of this is happening as Charlie Kirk is assassinated, as they bring up, as he mentioned, the fact that they have to cover up his speech patterns because of the way that he speaks. And I also wonder, if this sounds more like yesterday Trump, or if this sounds more like 4 years ago Trump.
Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in...
Hang on, let's go to Trump statement. No, wait, let's go back to YouTube. Let's go to Trump addresses nation. But let's not find the Charlie Kirk one. Let's find another one. Let's look at the Rose Garden. I know he was in the Rose Garden speaking to people. There's the 5 days ago one. How's he doing here?
Senators sometime, but a couple of the senators really wanted to be here. And
no face droop. No face droop 5 days ago. Oh, somebody already did it for me?
I need allies.
Not my damn ad. I need to switch over to my other account. I don't know why it's not showing up in here.
You took out a full-page ad in major U.S. newspapers last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemy.
Oh yeah, no, he's very far gone from.
Our allies pay their fair share.
I mean, even 2016, or even 2020, YouTube, Trump 2020 address. Oh fuck. Trump 2020 address the nation. Stop giving me Charlie Kirk.
tonight I want...
So here's an address to the nation that is from 5 years ago, and we do not have the AI abilities that we do now. I wanted to pull this up as opposed to like the 1988, just because so much time has passed since then. The decline is absolutely apparent, in the same way that I was warning people about Joe Biden's decline before, I think during the 2016 election, the same way in which I was warning people about the decline that I had been, the way it looked then, I was warning people about Trump in 2020. Let's see how he looks in 2020 compared to...
My fellow Americans, Tonight, I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak that started in China and is now spreading throughout the world. Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic. We have been in frequent contact with our allies, and we are marshaling the full power of the federal government and the private sector to protect the American people.
Okay, A.
I said, Mike, I want to do something. I want to reward the people that have confidence in their president, have confidence in you, and vote for us. And that includes some of the senators that are here. We have senators, we have congressmen. This was originally going to be for Congress only. We're going to have the senators.
Joe's decline his
sometime,
old
but a
man
couple of
stuff.
the
Probably
senators
cancer
really
stuff
wanted
too.
to be here. And I'm going to start off by one of them, who's a really good friend of mine, comes from a state where I was, I think, 77 out of 77 district or areas. I won them all 3 times. Ronald Reagan was second. He got 56. Is that right? I got 77 out of 77, and I did it 3 times. So I happen to love the state of Oklahoma, and I'm going to ask James Langford to come up. And
Right.
They're the most different human beings I've ever met. They're both great, but one is a little bit different than the other, like by about 200 yards. And they're fantastic, and they get along great. But we all...
Wild number to throw out there 5 days ago. Why was the number 200 yards in Donald Trump's head 5 days ago? Wait, what? Actually, though.
The administration has been amazing, and what we've done has not been done. A lot of people, even the people that are not necessarily lovers of President Trump, and some of them are right there in the fake news, but they said that nobody's done what we've done in 7 months, a little more than 7 months. When you think of it, we stopped 7 wars. And the war that I thought was going to be the easiest is probably the most difficult. That's the Ukraine and Russia. I thought that would be easier.
Oh, yeah, great clip. Good clip. I remember this day. Thank you for sending.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm an entirely different person.
I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
So, I mean...
Relationship with President Putin, all of that, it didn't matter. It's ended
Different
up being
environments.
probably the most difficult. But we stopped wars. One was going on for 31 years. They said it was unstoppable.
So I think the main takeaway that I have for watching these couple different Trump examples is actually what I think is most interesting is it looks like you can see him lose the showmanship. And I think that's probably the most evident. Like, he's always had a unique speech pattern. He's always had, like, he's a bigger guy. He's always going to, like, have some big breaths in between some of his words like we're hearing here. Like, I don't necessarily think that's, notion of any kind of stroke by any means. But when you look at him talk, and again, they're in different settings, the Rose Garden as opposed to one of his events, but the showmanship cadence is gone. The way in which he used to talk to a crowd, where did it go? Did I already close it out like an idiot? But the way he used to talk to a crowd.
They come out with faucets where the water comes out. If you go and buy a home,
One of my favorites.
and they know what I mean. The shower,
A classic
you stand
favorite.
under a shower and there's no water coming, and you say,
Oh, a bug.
You end up standing
Gross.
there 5 times longer.
There's a little bug on my wall.
But they want that. They want
A little ant.
change. All of that is part of the agenda.
So in Ohio, you have a.
I'll leave this while I go grab a bug or a napkin for the bug.
Company, one of the biggest and finest companies, but they were going out of business. They said, we're not allowed to use water. They come out with faucets where no water comes out. If you go and buy a home, and they know what I mean. The showers, you stand under a shower and there's no water coming, and you're saying you end up standing there 5 times longer.
But they want that. They want the dishwashers to be changed. All of that is part of the agenda.
So in Ohio, you have a great company that came to me, a dishwasher company, one of the biggest and finest companies, but they were going out of business. They said, we're not allowed to use water. They come out with faucets where no water comes out. If you go and buy a home.
They're eating cats and dogs. No, his decline has been, I would say, fairly consistent for a while now. At least it seems to have been, assuming that's what's happening. But like again, he's lost the showmanship. So what is this?
In Utah, Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him.
What is that flag? What does that flag say? I imagine it's supposed to say Marine Corps. That's a Marine flag, right? So what I find hang on here. Hang on just a second here. Hang on a second here. What I find to be interesting is I don't see how that letter works. That should be a P, right? Why is that not a P there? And if it was an E, it would go that way. And it looks like there's no letter after. Like, am I crazy? Am I making that up right now? Do you see what I'm talking about? Is it zoomed in enough? It won't let me zoom in on that specifically. But like, what the fuck is that letter? It looks like it's an N. Marine corn? Marine corn? Now that they've blocked out Pornhub, are they? Is it a marine corn hub? Tell me I'm not crazy. There's no gold at the end of it. There's no gold. Oh yeah, where's the gold at the end of it? Yeah, this is looking bad for them. I mean, whenever I'm curious as to whether something is AI generated or not, the first thing I look for is specifically any words or lettering that I can to the best of my ability, because that's the thing that they do worse, or the worst at least right now. And that letter don't match up, boys, gals, NBs, everybody in between. This N ain't here. That's not the letter that should be there. Yeah, I'm on board with the AI generated.
Are united in shock and horror.
Shock and horror. I've never heard him talk like that.
Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain.
A detection tool?
This is a dark moment for America.
Hang on, give me a couple more
Charlie
minutes.
Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever.
Did I see something?
His mission was to bring it in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever. To share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a patriotic devotion and love of God.
I didn't realize it before either, but he really does keep his hand covered the entire time, where that bruise is supposed to be. Unfortunately, people, It's getting to be about that time, and I have a dog that needs to go to the bathroom. So I, unfortunately, am going to be calling it to a close in a moment here. But it's been a pretty good day. It's been a good day. And exciting news for later tonight. We have the, what day is today? Is it Wednesday? Or is it Thursday? Today's Thursday, right? Yeah, we got new Demon Slayer movie coming out. So all my anime fans out there, big day for that. So be on the news. Look out for that. And aside from that, I hope that everybody stays safe and doesn't fall victim to the depression that's all around us. It's important to find things that bring you joy during times like these, and make sure you go outside and touch some grass and take a nice little walk or something. I don't know. Bring yourself some joy. But everyone be safe. Everyone be safe. Have a good one. I'll see you all later. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Wee. Oh yeah, thanks Jessica for stopping in. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Master Liberty. Appreciate you all hanging out with me today.